Hello, drag racing fan. Monday Morning Racer live from Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. Hey, make sure, if you would, in the comments section, make sure that, well, you can hear me. I'm using a little bit different mic setup than I did at Pomona. It looked like everything was good before going live, but would you chime in and make sure, let me know that you can, in fact, hear me live here at Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. And I rolled in just about 40 minutes ago. Good drive from San Diego, California this morning. Rolled in. We're ready to go. I've already talked to our guest for tonight, which I will mention in just a few moments. But before we do that, I do want to say thank you and mention the brought to you by, if you will, this week, and that is Destroyer 1320. You can actually already find him in the comments section. He's a loyal watcher and supporter of Monday Morning Racer. Thank you for that, man. But Destroyer 1320, that is a YouTube channel. Be sure to check it out and subscribe. He is helping me out this week by giving me a place to crash, making the travel bill a little lighter for the Monday Morning Racer. Love networking, and that's how it gets done, ladies and gentlemen. Network, network, network. Because being out here, I want you to understand that I'm not making a ton of money. I'm doing this because I love the sport. I'm doing this because I want to provide a different tale out of the sport to you as fans. For example, tonight we're going to have on the show Hunter Green. That's the son of Chad Green, and he recently accomplished, well, getting his license in Top Fuel. Well, where else are you going to hear that story? Because I know of many who are talking to winners, they're talking to champions, they're talking to big names in the sport, but right here at Monday Morning Racer, Between the Slicks, we talk about it all in drag racing. No matter the series, no matter who it is, from crew to driver, crew chief to car owner, promoter to track owners, we'll talk to them in drag racing because everybody has got a drag racing story. So later on, Hunter Green will be on halfway through the show around 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, 6:30 Mountain Standard Time, right here on Between the Slicks, and actually on camera. He will be the first live in guest on camera ever for Between the Slicks. So that's pretty cool as well. Let's go to the comments section. I will try to get to as many as I can tonight. I'm doing this one-handed, obviously, as you can see, and the phone has a tough interface when you're doing this live stream, and I've got the sun right on me. Beautiful Arizona sun. So a little bit of a preview of what we're going to see with the Arizona Nationals. First, let me say this. Right now, it is very cool. No clouds in the sky. Looking forward at the weather forecast, ladies and gentlemen, I expect that we are going to see some monster runs out of these cars, in particular the nitro cars. I would imagine also Pro Stock as well, but it might be a little bit too cool for them. But the nitro cars, I highly expect that they will be running exceptional numbers in ET and mile per hour. I would expect that the top half will be low 70s into high 60s, if not dipping even beyond the mid 60 range for the likes of such of a Brittany Force, a Steve Torrance, Mike Salinas, I imagine. Throw in there as well Justin Ashley, though, right now, and coming off of a huge win at the Winter Nationals, the season opener, we can actually say, for the first time, I believe, in his career, that Justin Ashley is the points leader in Top Fuel. I don't think that's going to be the only time in his career we'll be saying that, but it is the first time that we can say that him coming into the Arizona Nationals, that he is the points leader in Top Fuel. And what a big win that was for him. Last year at the Winter Nationals, having the dehydration, having the heat stroke issue, if you will, and to circle back around, kind of get some redemption, show that with Phillips Connect on board now, that team, with the addition of Tommy DeLago, is even that much better. Therefore, that much more dangerous to the competition in NHRA top fuel ranks. But do not count out Steve Torrance. Everyone that I have heard has not given the championship to anybody else. I have said, at the end of the year, the champion, Steve Torrance. My co-host on Competition Plus Power Hour, Sam Smith, Slammin' Sam, he has said, at the end of the year, Steve Torrance. We're all still looking for Steve Torrance, though, to have a great scrap to still get this championship at the end of the year. And remember, he made it to the semifinal rounds. That is no choke effort to make it to the semifinal rounds in what very well may be the year that has the greatest competition that we've seen in top fuel from sometime in the 80s when, well, they were running 8-car fields most of the time. And by the way, I do believe that we saw what will be and already has come the future of NHRA with that final round. Austin Prock and Justin Ashley duking it out. Two great levers representing two great teams. Chevrolet versus Toyota, if you will, as far as a marketing platform, out there on the drag strip in top fuel. I think we're going to see more of it, and it's going to be quite intriguing when we see it in early rounds. Round one, a Justin Ashley, Austin Prock matchup. That will be interesting, and I'm sure will have lasting implications from this year and beyond. Funny Car was great to watch all day. Tony Gerardo, shout out to him, did an interview, did some social media work for them last year at ZMAX, just trying to get a little bit more of his story out there, especially of that particular weekend. Need to get Tony Gerardo on the show eventually, especially after the accomplishment in which they were able to complete, and that is get that round one victory in NHRA Big Show competition. When you come into the NHRA, it's a mountain to climb to even qualify. And it's another mountain to climb to gain that first round win. Well, now they know they can do it. They have done it. And that team with Tony Gerardo, Jason Bunker, a few other guys that I'm familiar with, and also many that I'm not familiar with, definitely they're able to run in the professional categories of Funny Car and get the job done. Tony, congratulations. Alex Miladinovich, wow, heartbreak there in qualifying, trying to make the show. You got to give it to Alex. He is definitely one. There is a car warming up. Hopefully you can still hear me. You got to hand it to him. Man is filled with heart, and he loves his drag racing. They've already said they're going to rebuild the car. They're going to go apparently with a Mustang body now. They're already selling one other Toyota body, but you should see them back out in NHRA competition at some point. That's great to hear. That's great to see the passion, the enthusiasm. Hey, we're going to go ahead and get back out there for NHRA competition. But the final round, what a great story with the Winter Nationals and Funny Car. Ron Capps doesn't miss a beat at all. He is a professional. He has professionals around him, and he brings those professionals with him in a situation of a brand new team. And what do they do? First time out at here testing in Arizona, they perform exceptionally well. Not even making a full throttle pass, and puts low ET out there on one particular night that I was able to film, by the way. And thanks, Ron, for posting it. Oh, by the way, Ron, thanks for the recommendations in San Diego land to check out the Gas Lamp District and Coronado Island. That was all good. By the way, folks, you here to go to San Diego, Gas Lamp District, and Coronado Island. So, final round, Ron Capps. Proof with him in the final round that they haven't missed a beat. They're the real deal. You got to watch out for them this year, even though there has been a transition with the addition to driving that Ron is an owner. But Robert Height, who has admitted that their 2021 was not that great of a year, a very inconsistent year, though he did have wins. They did not have the performance. I remember in the finals, there in 2021 at Pomona. Smoked the tires round one. Did not expect that out of him, but it happened. But come into the Winter Nationals, kicking off the 2022 season, and after testing and their performance, minus one big boomer, definitely they have found consistency, and they have found the ET and the mile per hour, and he's able to keep his composure after the throttle whack incident on the line, the injector being touched by the body and crew members being affected. He's able to out there go and win a close drag race over the reigning and defending world champion, Ron Capps. We are looking ahead to some great racing this year, ladies and gentlemen, in the fuel ranks. But not to be outdone, Pro Stock. I think it's fitting that Erica Enders would pick up the win at the 900th Pro Stock race. Pro Stock was established in 1970, and here they are 900 races on, and Erica Enders picks up that beautiful Hearst Shifter trophy for the 900th win to commemorate that in the 900th race, and she wins her first Winter Nationals. And she does it in style in such a way that may not be common to Erica. Rather, as she said in the post-race media room interview, no more Miss Nice Erica. She's going to go out there and she's going to get all that she can get in the ranks of Pro Stock this year. I think there is a fire lit within her to get this championship this year and to wax the KB crowd. Granted, though, in remarking on the 900th race in her press conference after the race, and you can see those press conferences on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel, she did as well say and mention KB Racing, and that KB Racing and Elite Racing and what they've done for Pro Stock to continue the class down the road. Because there was a time, there was a day that we all were talking about the death of Pro Stock, and right now it's extremely healthy, and that is a good thing. Yes, I would like to see some different things out of Pro Stock, but it's good that we've got the class as a whole still around, still functioning, still operating. So, as we look to now the Arizona Nationals, again, we're going to have on as our guest Hunter Green. He recently got his NHRA Top Fuel license. He's the son of Chad Green. We'll be chatting with him in, about 15 minutes or so. Who all do you think is going to be good here at the Arizona Nationals? What are your picks for the three professional categories? Top Fuel, Funny Car, and Pro Stock. Remember, Gainesville is the first race for the Pro Stock motorcycles. I think we're going to see a comeback of the champ in Top Fuel. Steve Torrance nabs the win in Top Fuel. I think we're also going to see comeback in Funny Car. Never leave John Force in a corner. He goes out, barely makes the show in Pomona for the Winter Nationals. I think he comes back and he nabs a victory and shows the old guy has still got it and hasn't lost anything. John Force wins in Funny Car. Also, Erica gets it done again. Erica is, the defending champion of this race. I think she's going to win it in Pro Stock. This is a fitting place to come back to in 2022 in what seems to be a semblance of normalcy coming back to our society. The last normal pre-COVID race that went without a hitch was right here in 2020. And I was here, and nobody had on their mind what was about to transpire before us Thursday on Gainesville with them calling the race and what we understand as the COVID-19 pandemic rampaging the world. I hope that this return to the Arizona Nationals is a showcase of a full return to normalcy as well, and that we're not worried about COVID restrictions, we're not worried about mask mandates, we're not worried about anything other than simply being passionate about our enjoyment over the sport of drag racing. Concerning the sport of drag racing, remember, folks, we draw ever closer to other such drag racing, such as the PDRA firing up, the Midwest Drag Racing Series firing up. March Meet is right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. The historic March Meet will be taking place, I believe that's next weekend, there at Famoso Dragway, Bakersfield, California. I wish I could get there. I have not been there yet myself. Excuse me. I have not yet been there myself. It is on my list, but with this great Western tour that the Monday Morning Racer has been on, going back out to California would have been tough then to swing back out for Gainesville. And that's why I'm going home after the Arizona Nationals, and I'll be back down to Gainesville, possibly for the Baby Gators, definitely for the Gator Nationals themselves. Now, with that said, many of you may still notice the logo of Strutmasters on the overlay on the screen. I want to take a time again to say thank you to Chip Lofton, because what I'm doing, though I'm not making a lot of money, though I'm doing it for the passion of the sport and trying to continue to grow and move forward, the flexibility that I now have and have enjoyed to be able to, well, have 3 weeks on the West Coast to cover drag racing, he gave me the start, and he was the catalyst to get me to this very point. And Chip, if you're watching, thank you. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope that you're able to look upon what is going on with Monday Morning Racer, and you're proud of it. Hey, Buddy Hole, he chimes in, says, the beard is on point. Thank you, sir. I got a little bit of a trim up and some work done in Coronado Island at Crown Barbershop. Been around for a long time. They don't make trusses like that no more. That was in that barbershop. So I got a cut and a trim down there at Coronado Island. So with Buddy Hall chiming in, let me also mention, man, kudos to him and continuing, and thank you to spreading the good news of drag racing. He drove like all night from Pomona to get back to Texas to talk about the Texas Stampede of Speed and the Texas Motorplex. Guys, Andy Carter, Elon Warner, thank you. Billy Meyer, thank you. Christy Meyer, thank you for what you're doing in drag racing and what you're doing there at the Texas Motorplex, showcasing drag racing for what it is, an epic motorsport and an epic sport in general. It keeps building and it keeps growing. Funny Car Chaos will kick off Stampede of Speed this year, roll right into the national event. There will be another Pro Mod race. It's going to be an epic week, the Stampede of Speed. It is going to be spectacular. So, buddy, thank you for showcasing that. And as I understood it, mentioning to other businesses, hey, this is something you need to be a part of. I love how the Texas state government, the local city of Waxahachie, has embraced what is happening with the Stampede of Speed. And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't planned to get to an NHRA drag race this year, the Fall Nationals needs to be on your list. Get there to the Texas Motorplex for the Stampede of Speed. And I don't mean just the NHRA, but be there for Funny Car Chaos, be there for the Pro Mods, be there for the barbecue, be there for the beer if you're definitely into that, be there for the concerts, be there for the rodeo, be there for the cattle drive, be there for the meet and greets, be there for it all. It is an epic week within drag racing for sure. Dino chimes in and says, Torrance, Caps, Anderson, strong list there for sure. And, you know, I really feel like for a while we're going to be picking Caps, Torrance, Height, Anderson, Erica. We got to be careful, though. There are 15 other cars. I really wonder how many people had Justin Ashley to win the Winter Nationals. I did in a fantasy group that I'm in, and actually had a very good Winter Nationals in that fantasy group. I'm leading that fantasy group right now. I had picked Robert Height, Justin Ashley, and Aaron Stanfield. Aaron came up a little bit short, but he did make the final round. And I do want to say this. Last year, we talked about there seemed like there might have been an issue of holding back some punches from the elite crowd and Erica getting a win. I don't think that was the case whatsoever with Aaron there in that final round. I think you just had a mechanical issue. They missed the setup. Remember, the conditions that we had in Pomona, they were changing throughout the day. So they just missed it, I think. I don't think anything was handed. I think it was true heads-up drag racing, and they just missed the setup. I don't think there was any shenanigans going on whatsoever. Let's see, what does James got to say? James chimes in and says, I feel Top Fuel and Funny Car are both going to be awesome this year when it comes to competition. Yes, certainly, James. I think we're going to be in store for another year in Funny Car, just like it was last year, where everybody that we think should win, well, they're going to win. The only thing I think we're going to have in addition to is we're going to see someone who's not supposed to win get that win. And let me say, someone that we need to put on the list, I talked to briefly right before going live, and I hadn't actually talked to the man until that moment. I knew of who he was, and he knew who I was apparently, but Chad Green. Look, that's a Tim Wilkerson tuned car, and make sure them attempting to run the full pool this year in NHRA competition in Funny Car, yeah, it would not shock me that Chad Green gets a win this year. He's won in everything else. It's not going to shock me that Chad Green would get a win this year in the Funny Car. Funny Car ranks. It's getting a little cool out here in Arizona. You can tell I still got the hoodie on, and I probably should have a little thicker cap on as well, and not the summer variety. Oh, we got burnouts in the nitro pit. Oh, Thursday nights at the drag strip. You never know what you're going to find. Friday nights, that's the party, ladies and gentlemen. Just keep on hanging out. Don't leave right away. James also says, and I also see Pro Stock being about a 5-car battle for the championship this year. I think there's legitimacy to that statement, but be careful. It may be a deeper battle than that, because when you start adding it up, we're talking about Erica, we're talking about Aaron, we're talking about Greg Anderson, we're talking about Kyle Koretsky, we're talking about Dallas Glenn, but remember that the Quadra Boys, who did win the World Door Slammer Nationals over such names, they have an alliance with Elite now. Their performance, I think, you're going to see pick up and pick up and pick up as the year goes on. So keep that in mind. It may be deeper than just an 5-car type of race for the championship. But we're definitely going to see some people come in and knock people out and surprise us. And in that conversation, I definitely know Matt Hartford wants to be in that conversation. He does not want to be overlooked this year. He wants to nab a championship. He does not just want to pick up a couple of wins. He wants to be in that championship fight for sure. Let's continue with the comments. With the comments here. Kroger Sucks 45. Hey man, thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing the story on the Competition Plus Power Hour of your great name. Brittany Force for Top Fuel, Alexis and Anderson. Strong list there. Yeah, Brittany Force, they definitely could turn it around anytime. And shout out to her. She drove exceptionally well at the Winter Nationals. Just a close race against a teammate and came up a little bit short. Dino, yeah, I mean, the McGahays, I mean, they showed speed and they showed that they were quick last year. And especially Mason, he has shown that he can cut the tree down. And Mason has also shown he doesn't mind, no matter who is out here, of doing his deal. We saw that last year with Bruno Massel and the burn down there at Topeka. He's going to do his deal. He's going to race his race and try to get that Wally. So, yeah, don't leave the Texas boys in Pro Stock out as well. Dennis chimes in and says, KB, Force, and Coletta for his picks for the Arizona Nationals. Chad Green in Funny Car and Pro Mod. Yes, I actually just talked to Chad about the Pro Mod entry this year. He's got 2 Pro Mods, or kind of in mothball, if you will. He said that he would like to pull them out and may very well pull them out on occasion, do some 8th mile drag racing, but their definite focus this year is to run that Nitro Funny Car. And, yeah, it would not shock me that Chad Green gets at least 1 win this year with that Funny Car. Mike Ashley, the Mike Ashley. Hey, Mike, thank you for coming on the Competition Plus Power Hour and asking the in-depth questions to Bobby Bennett. He says, I'm on the flight on my way there, but in my opinion, this will be an incredibly competitive season in all classes. Mike, I agree. I think we're looking at a year in which will be a banner year for the NHRA. A ton of positivity for the NHRA. And we're not there yet with Pro Stock Motorcycle. We're waiting until Gainesville, but I think that will be highly competitive in Gainesville. I think we're going to have so many storylines. It's going to be good for a guy like me because what the NHRA can't pick up, I need to get out there and pick up. And people like American Hot Rod Entertainment, Darren Williams Jr., they need to pick up those stories. And Everything Nitro with Andrew, pick up those stories. If the NHRA doesn't get it, there's plenty enough stories out there to go get and get the good news of drag racing and the positivity of the NHRA out there across the board. Because last year, I really think we had great competition in Pro Stock Motorcycle, and it kind of got overlooked a little bit because of Nitro Funny Car. And when I say overlooked, I don't mean completely, but it was so wild in Nitro Funny Car that it's like, well, what about the battle here? What about the battle there? And we're going to have that across the board, I think, this year. So, yeah, it's going to be a wild year. It's going to be a great year. I'm looking forward to it. If you're, being a fan of NHRA drag racing, you've got to love what is ahead of us. The Winter Nationals were already spectacular. Drag Racing Central says Josh Hart and Tim Wilkerson will rebound this weekend. I definitely think so. I think that will be the case. And talking about rebounding, I'm definitely fascinated and interested in seeing my boss Doug Foley. They put some more laps on the brand new car. What will we see coming back to a track that they've made a few laps on as well in testing? And I definitely hope that Doug Foley will play the spoiler amongst the regular campaigners of the Top Fuel entries out there. Ken Bodie says a Suzuki will win Pro Stock Motorcycle title. Big question is which one. We'll keep an eye on it. Mike chimes back in. Also, as far as reaction times, let's take them and 60 foot into consideration. Staging matters. Watch the roll. It does matter. Is it chunked in there? Is it shallow? And yes, the 60 foot times. It all matters for these cars, especially the fuel cars. So everybody stepped up their game. That's the thing about this year that is so exciting. Everybody has stepped up their game. Nobody seems to be bringing the B team or JV. It's all varsity, and it's all A-team stuff. So definitely we've got a great year ahead of us, and right here at the Arizona Nationals, it is going to be spectacular. Kim Bodie says, Force and Funny Car, Top Fuel, Steve Torrance, and Stanfield in Pro Stock. Yeah, I really keep your eye on Stanfield for sure. It might be another Erica Stanfield final round, or they might meet once again, and I'm sure Stanfield wants another crack at what happened there in the final rounds at the Winter Nationals. Well, ladies and gentlemen, look, we're at the halfway mark. We're going to take a break, and after this break, we're going to have Hunter Green on. We'll chat with him and talk all about, Top Fuel, what his plans are for this year, and in drag racing overall. So this word from a local to the Phoenix, Arizona area, and that is Hero Soap Company. Hero Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils-infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Hero Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom clean. And back between the slicks, our guest, first on air live during the show guest, Hunter. So another first for you. Thank you for being on Between the Slicks.
Yep. Thank you for having me, and welcome to our pits.
It's good to be at Arizona. Had a safe trip in. Certainly y'all had a safe trip. And, man, look, before we dive into Top Fuel and your journey on getting your license, because I got the video footage. You had an interesting journey. And you got everything worked out, and
it's been some bumps.
Yeah, there's been some bumps. Let's talk about just life in general beyond drag racing. So, other than long walks on the beach, what do you enjoy? What does Hunter, a Texas boy, enjoy for himself?
Well, the typical Texas stuff. I enjoy hunting, fishing, being outdoors with my buddies. Recently, me and my buddies, we went camping and we blew up a lot of tannerite, if you know what that is. So that's something we do every year. And, of course, whitetail hunting, quail hunting, dove hunting. And recently I've gotten into the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, actually. So that's a good way to relieve the stress. I try to stay pretty active, and drag racing is just something else to add into all that.
So with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, can we get a matchup between you and Caleb Cox over at Cruz Petragon? Some funny car, Chad Green versus Cruz Petragon racing action?
Look, I've barely been training for about a year and a half, so I don't know yet. I haven't tested my skills out in the real world, so might have to hold off on that. All
right. We'll set that up later. Tickets right here on Monday Morning Racer when that's possible. So in the hunting world, what's the biggest buck you've got? What's the biggest fish you've got?
Okay. So for about 5 years, me and my dad have gone up to South Dakota to go whitetail hunting, because in Texas, they get big, but in South Dakota, they get bigger, and mainly their bodies. They weigh 50 to 75 pounds more up there. And, so, yeah, we've taken some pretty big ones up there, 150, 160-inch deer. But like I said, their bodies are just huge up there. And plenty of deer in Texas. Fish, I caught a striped bass at Lake Eaks. That was Lake Eaks, Texas, for those of you who know that it is. It was about 13 inches long, and it was like an inch or two shy of the lake record. So, yeah, few big bass, few big deer. Yeah, I shot an axis at Fletcher Cox's ranch, actually, when was that? Last April, I think. Yeah, and of course, he's really into drag racing too. So he had me and my dad out. We went axis hunting, and I've been eating on that axis now for the last 6 months, quite a bit. It filled the freezer up.
All right, so in the hunting world, what would you like to go out and hunt? Any other big game, a trip to Africa possibly? Or like, man, I saw red stags down in New Zealand once, and I'm like, I even want to do that.
I still want to do the elk, the North American elk. To take a North American elk with a bow, that would be the dream for me. And, yeah, I want to go to Africa eventually, but there's still things on my list here in the U.S. that I want to take, and elk's probably number one right now.
Bear with a bow?
Not too interested in the bear hunting. No. No, I want to kill things that I can eat mainly. And bear, I don't know. I don't know about eating bear.
All right, so no bear pelts anytime soon for Hunter Green. Well, man, look, drag racing, obviously that's a big part of your family. Your dad's been in the pro mod game, door slammer game for a very long time, and going this year for, the funny car ranks full time and, competing. What was it like growing up in a drag racing home around pro mods and seeing your dad competing, and what captured you about it personally that made you want to follow in drag racing as well?
Well, it took a while for me to catch on. He was always the drag racer. And, when I got my driver's license, I started realizing I wanted to race everybody at a stoplight, everybody that started revving their engine next to me. And in Midland, we got all those diesel trucks around. Everyone's got a diesel truck. Everyone's revving their engine all the time. And, yeah, you want to race. So he started racing. We started taking his truck to the local drag strip, Penwell, Midland, Texas. And that's when I started getting the itch for it. But when he got into the Pro Mod and I watched that, and of course he had a couple of crashes, I kind of shied away from it for a little bit. It took me a while to really get the guts to get in one of these cars. And of course I started at Frank Hawley's, went and took the Firebird school. And I'm telling you, I was so nervous when I got in that thing. The Super Gas Firebird. It's a 9-second car. Went 140 miles an hour. And my heart was beating out of my chest whenever they strapped me in and they fired that thing up. And, every run got better. But then I went back there and I got in the top dragster at Frank Hawley. Same thing happened. I got so nervous. I was like, I'm in a way faster car now. That car, I think it ran about 6.5 seconds, something like that. Yeah, high sixes. And so there was a time where I was like, I don't think I could ever get in a top fuel dragster. I was like, this stuff is intense. This stuff is so intense. I don't know how those guys do it, I thought to myself. And then my dad got in the funny car, and just being around it so much, watching so many runs, I wanted to push myself. I wanted to see what else I could do. So I was like, you know what? Just strap me in that thing. I'm going to put my foot to the floor, and we'll see what happens. Right foot cures all. If it doesn't go right, all I got to do is lift. So, yeah, I've just been trying to push myself in this sport, and now I'm really glad I did. I'm enjoying it.
So was top fuel always the ultimate goal, or at one time was there a different avenue within drag racing you were thinking about pursuing?
So at first, there was no goal. I just wanted to experience what my dad was experiencing. The Super Gas Firebird at Frank Hawley's, it operates just like his Pro Mod, which is what he'd been doing for around that time. And so, yeah, I really just wanted to experience what it was like and something slower, letting off the trans brake button and all that. And I was thinking, okay, well, I want to try the next step and go a little bit faster. And the option was funny car or top dragster, the next stage at Frank Hawley's school. And I'd always been more interested in the dragsters. I don't know. I like the sleek aerodynamic look. They look like a fighter jet or something like that. I'd always been more interested in those. So once I got in those that's whenever I started thinking, man, I'd really want to drive one of those top fuel. I think that's the ultimate goal. I mean, if you're going to have a goal, it might as well be the ultimate goal, and that's top fuel dragster, the fastest thing on the planet. So, yeah.
Well, they are known as the kings of the sport for a reason. They're definitely pure race car. Yeah. There is no resemblance whatsoever to a factory car other than having 4 wheels and a motor. So pure race car, you popped into that. Your dad hopping into a nitro funny car, though, after being a campaigner of Pro Mod for so long. What did you think? Did you think he lost his mind?
I was the one pushing him to do it, actually. I mean, of course he's pushing himself to do it, too. But I gave him that final push. I was like, look, we need to go for this. We need to go for this, and we need to try to get some sponsors. And the only way you're going to get sponsors, you go out there and we start doing it. So, yeah, I'm excited. This is going to be our first full season in Funny Car, and I'm really excited. 22 races. We've never done that many races, so it's going to be a crazy year, but I'm looking forward to it.
In particular, with your dad's operation, what is your role? Are you working on the car, setting anything up, PR? What is your role within the team itself?
So on the Pro Mod, I did everything. I did the tires. I worked on the engine. We did a lot of engine swaps, worked on the car at the shop back at Boncoat, Midland, Texas. Here, I've started doing more social media and PR marketing work for him. I work closely with our marketing agent. I help manage the website, all our merchandise, but I help out with anything they need around here. I'll clean oil pans. I'll mix the fuel. I'll help with the tires, do whatever they need to do. But so, yeah, I have a lot of roles right now.
Imagine that, the son wearing many hats. It tends to happen in family, one way or the other, in racing operations. Boncoat, you mentioned that. Your dad's company, from what I understand. What the heck is it?
It's a pipe coating company for drill pipe that goes downhole in the oil rigs. We put a protective coating on the casing that protects it from corrosion. And that's what we do. We just install a coating. Oil companies, they drop their pipe off, we coat it, they come back and pick it up.
Imagine that. Oil industry in Texas. Very cool. I always wondered what bond coating was.
Yep.
Well, let's do this. Let's dive into now this Top Fuel licensing, what you went through. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully all the videos play smoothly. I've got some video. And I didn't realize I was capturing this kid when I was filming it at the time, too. I thought it was Merck in the car testing, but it was him. So what was the first time you got in the Top Fuel dragster to possibly sell it down the track?
So, I was talking about how nervous I was at Frank Hawley's. For some reason, I was overconfident in that thing. And I was not near as nervous in a Top Fuel dragster as I was in the top dragster in the Supergas Firebird back at Frank Hawley's. I get in this 11,000 horsepower beast of a machine, and for some reason, I'm not as nervous. And Tim Wilkerson, who was crew chief in that car, is his car, obviously. He's coming up to me, asking me if I'm all right. You okay? Relax, breathe. And I'm telling him, I'm good, actually. So, yeah. When they go to start the car, that all goes out the window. That's whenever I was like, oh, my gosh. I've never felt a car like this around me before. The way that thing is shaking is so violent. The way it sounds, the roar of that thing. I'm like, this is a different beast. I already knew it was a different beast, but until you're sitting in it and feeling that thing rumble underneath you, it's something else. So, yeah. So we go to do the burnout. It operates just like the dragster I'd driven at Frank Hawley's. Go to do the burnout, let off the clutch, do the burnout, and right away I'm struggling getting it into reverse. So my mind's starting to turn already at that point. And you start trying to overthink things. So I'm like, all right, you got to keep it cool, get that lever in place. You're taking forever, it feels like you're taking forever. Start backing up. I'm backing up with one hand, making very big moves backing it up. And, they had already warned me about this. All of a sudden, the wheel just snatches out of my hand. The wheels of the dragster cock sideways. And I am like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? And the crew guys get down and they start trying to turn the wheels back with their hands, because once they catch like that, you can't turn it with the steering wheel. You cannot correct those. So the crew guys are having to manually turn the front wheels of the dragster to get them straight. And yeah, I had this dragster pointed sideways. I was looking at the other wall. So by the time they finally got it straight, you can just imagine how I'm thinking out. I'm thinking they're going to shut me off. I'm thinking they are going to shut me off. So they didn't. I'm just like, all right, you got to just keep it together, get this thing straight, because you are not anywhere close to being straight. Get it straight. And then after that, procedure went fine. I got it into Ford fine. They pulled me up to the beams. Tim tells me it's time to go. I take a deep breath. All right. Turn the fuel all the way on, off the clutch, bump into the top bulb, and I say, here we go. I hit that pedal, and I've never felt anything like that. It was like I just got transported a couple hundred feet down the track, and I let off so quickly. It felt almost instantly. I was like, yeah, it shocked me. The speed and power of that thing shocked me the first time. So, yeah, that was my first experience.
And guess who was there to capture all of that? Yes, yours truly. I seem to be the testing hound and get those footage, and that was Wednesday of the testing before the Fall Nationals, part of the Stampede of Speed. So guess what? We're going to take a look at it right now. All right, let's take a look at the run that he had right after all that wobbling back and forth. You had it out there turkey wobbling, man. Yep. So as you all can see, short little blip there. First time, I mean, I think almost everyone does that. Who in the heck can hold it? You have no sense of the acceleration. It's unhuman until it slows down for you. Now, what was the coaching like afterwards from Tim and Richard, even your dad possibly? Because that's not the only lap you made that day. You kept making more laps.
Yeah. Well, Tim, Richard, and even my dad now. Tim is a really good coach. Really calm. No one was mad at me for anything. I mean, everyone understands. Yeah, that was my first run. So they addressed every little issue, which there was a lot in that first run. First of all, I told them how I was backing up with one hand. And they said, no, you put both hands on that wheel because this thing, it'll get away from you as it did. And so that was the first thing we addressed. I was too aggressive in general just with my cuts backing up. And even after that run, they told me that quite a bit. So I've been trying to focus on really making small adjustments backing up the car. And that's the thing I've had to work on the most. Besides that, the next thing they've been telling me is I've been riding the brake. So when you're pulling this car forward, you want to just let off the clutch and you don't want to be touching the brake. Let out the clutch a little bit, let it roll, get your speed, press the clutch back in. So what I was doing a little bit without even thinking about it is I'm on the brake a little bit and I'm letting out the clutch at the same time. So the car's not going. So instead of letting out the clutch more, I just like letting on the brake and letting the brake kind of pull me off the clutch. And so that was the other thing. Issue I'm still working on a little bit. It's something that I kind of do subconsciously, but this last run here went a lot better. Made a lot of runs in that A-Fuel car, and that got me prepared to do these last couple runs here. So, yeah.
All right, we got a few more runs from Texas. Let's take a look at those. Well, in testing, you're just getting it all out of the way, aren't you? You got sent on. That's done with, over with. You experienced that. So what was happening in that moment, man?
That was the second run. It didn't go smoothly either, as you can see. After the burnout, I hold the brake, push the clutch in, and try to get it into reverse. And to get it in reverse, you let off the brake with your foot all the way in on the clutch. And if it doesn't slip into reverse, you're supposed to just ease out on the clutch just a little bit, keeping tension on the reverse lever until it slips in. So I couldn't even do that because I had my foot all the way in on the clutch. The second I let off the brake, the car wanted to creep forward. And every time I did that, and I'm sick, I don't know what's going on. This is my second run ever in this thing. I'm looking at them like, hey, I'm like, I can't do this. The brake, I'm on the radio. I'm saying it won't. I can't even let off the brake. This thing is trying to creep forward on me. And this goes on forever until they finally get up there. Before they go up there, I actually started to shut the thing off. I knew something was wrong with the car. I turned the fuel off. Tim gets up there. He turns it back on. And they tried messing with it. They couldn't get it either. It turned out the car was idling way too high. It was dragging through the clutch, dragging through the brake. So, yeah, that's the reason we couldn't get it into reverse that time.
And it was a much longer ordeal for those guys. Hey, that worked out. We got light from another pits. Yeah, it does. So it was a longer ordeal. That video was edited to fit on StreamYard. It was much longer. It was agonizing to watch and film, and I imagine it felt like an eternity in the car. But by the end of the day, it kind of all came together. All right, not a bad lap at all there. Into the fours, a little bit of tire smoke, but got down the track. No issues backing up. Didn't get sent down the track. So that had to give you a lot of confidence going into whenever else you would test it.
It gave me some confidence until they told me how far I went. I thought I'd went a lot farther. I thought I'd made it past the 8th. It takes some calibration. It takes some runs to actually get to realize where you are on that track moving at that speed. But yeah, that was progress from the first 2 runs, a lot of progress. I went 500-600 feet, shut it off. It started going towards the wall, put a hole out. But yeah, that was some progress on that run.
So from Texas to what we will show in a few moments here in testing at Arizona just a couple of weeks ago, how many more laps did you get in, or was the first time back in the car right here in testing?
In Texas, after that run you just showed, I did one more lap, I believe. Yeah, one more lap. I went 500-600 feet again, about the same. And then, did you ask how many I did here? Yeah, hopped in Randy Meyer's A-Fuel car, and I made 7 laps in that thing in 2 days. And then I made 1 lap in the Top Fuel Dragster, and that was enough to complete my licensing process. So, yeah, 8 runs total here in Arizona.
And I think I've got the Arizona one queued up right here. Well, man, that's a good pass to get your license on in 390-something here in testing. Who were the folks that signed it?
Tim Wilkerson and Mike Salinas. So shout out to those guys. Mike has been a really good friend. He's been very welcoming to me out here. He always comes up to me and visits me. He's a friend of me and my dad. So, yeah, thanks to him for signing it. Of course, Tim, he helped out with the whole deal. So, of course, he signed it naturally.
Now, looking onward to this year, you did mention making some laps in the A-Fuel car. It's my understanding that you do plan to run A-Fuel and not so sure about Top Fuel quite as yet.
Correct. I have 2 races planned with Randy Meyer, Las Vegas regional event coming up in April, and the Houston national event, which is also in April. So, yeah, that'll be my first race running with the old man.
Have you bugged Dad about the funny car yet?
I have not bugged Dad about the funny car yet. If I get some laps in a Top Fuel, get used to that speed, then I might jump into one of those funny cars, because those are an animal of their own.
They definitely are. They definitely are. Man, look, congratulations from myself and Between the Slicks and the whole audience. It is one heck of an accomplishment to get the license in Top Fuel. Not that many people are doing it, and another young addition for the sport from a great pedigree in drag racing. So, closing this out, I've got to ask and give you time who you need to thank, man.
Well, I need to thank Tim. I need to thank my dad most of all, though, because he has been the one. He never pushed me into doing this, and he made that a point. He said, I'm not going to push you into doing anything. He said, you do this if you want to do it. And he's been very supportive. It's nice to have your father, who's so experienced in this sport, pro mod, funny car. He's driven, anything he can. So he's one of the best mentors. And he's working with Tim Wilkerson, who's also one of the best. And he's made a lot of friends out here, like Mike Salinas, Steve Torrance, to get advice from all these guys. Yeah, it's been great. The sport's been great.
Well, Hunter, look, thank you for coming on Between the Slicks and helping me continue my thing with this show. I kind of always get the ladies and gents that have licensed, so they got to come here first. So thank you for making a stop on Between the Slicks, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me on. You have a good one.
All right, folks, we'll take a break. I'll be right back and close out the show.
Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.
And as the sun sets, it is definitely the dawning of a new career for Hunter Green in the top fuel ranks of the NHRA. I've definitely got to be closing the show out here momentarily because, well, I've ran out of light. And if it wasn't for the pits right across the way, you know, when you come to Phoenix, the nitro pits like sit up above the rest of the pits. And there was a sportsman racer nice enough to turn on his lights, maybe not necessarily for me, but it sure did work out. All things work out. Again, I want to say this, Destroyer 1320. All of this is brought to you by him tonight. Check out his YouTube channel, Destroyer 1320. He's got a lot of great information, especially for you Mopar guys. If you have a Challenger, check it out. He's got some innovative products as well, from what I understand. So check out Destroyer 1320. Big fan of drag racing as well. He'll even be out here this weekend. But, man, thanks for the help concerning this very weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Monday Morning Racer, and this has been another episode of Between the Slicks, having one of the newest names of the sport right here on Monday Morning Racer. Why? Because everybody in drag racing has got a drag racing story. And guess what? I want to get it, and I want to be able to tell it. Until next time, I'm the Monday Morning Racer, live from Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park, and this has been Between the Slicks. God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal.